This is the month where EA officially reveals EA Sports FC. We knew it's been coming, they've been building up, not just this year, but they first revealed the name change last year in 2022. But this is the month where official trailers, gameplay releases, everything gets published. But before that happens, we need to go through the changes that are really needed within Ultimate Team. But before we do get into the video, if you're looking to fully take advantage of the final few months of FIFA 23, then there is no better place than SkyCoach. SkyCoach offers cheap, fast and reliable FIFA 23 coins so that you don't need to spend time grinding the game at this point. You can just enjoy the game, buy the players that you want to buy into, or even participate within a massive pack opening. However you kick off the end of the year, it is entirely up to you. There is a link in the description down below, and if you use Fnatic at checkout, you'll also get yourself a 10% discount.
Nice.
In this video, we are going to be going through the changes that are really needed in game. We're not focusing too much on gameplay because that pretty much changes every single patch. But we will focus on parts of the game which are constantly a problem, or at least it could be better. And starting this off, we need to talk about draw quits. It's crazy for how long we've had Ultimate Team and how long this has been a problem. Over the last couple of years, it's become a bit more of an issue due to the changes that have been implemented into the likes of FUT Champions. FUT Champions used to be a very competitive game mode, but now you do get rewarded with points for even losing. And that means that for a lot of people, and this does also include myself, we go into games with the intention of leaving that game. But the thing that I do is I score an own goal and then quit. Most people don't do that. And whenever this happens, it does mean that for the person that quits, they still get the loss. But for the person that did enter that game, even though it ended 0-0 and the opponent forfeited the match, that game doesn't count for them. Now, this is on a small scale of where it isn't a massive issue, it's just very frustrating once this happens several times every single day. This issue becomes a lot bigger when you come up to opponents who are in a game, they're drawing, it's the 90th minute, and then they quit, because that game still does not count for you, but you've wasted 15 to 20 minutes of your time going through that match. What needs to happen is one of two things, if not both. At the very least, you should be getting the win every single time your opponent forfeits. I don't even care if you're losing, you should still get the win, because the idea of forfeiting is exactly that. You're forfeiting, you're giving up your chances to win. So for it not to count for the other player is just ridiculous. If EA wanted to take this a bit further, they could also put in a system that will detect when people are constantly forfeiting matches in a late game scenario. And if they do this too many times, it puts a timeout before they can enter into another game. Just some sort of reason for them not to keep on doing this. Another change that players have been requesting for over the last year or two now is changes to Division Rivals, mainly the checkpoint system. With Division Rivals, it's quite simple. You play games, you win games, and for every game that you win, you're rewarded with points. You're then able to progress through the system. Occasionally, as you progress, you'll hit these checkpoints. Now, these checkpoints are there so that if you were to lose or draw, whatever it may be, you cannot go backwards. You cannot go further than this point. The only way that you will be relegated is at the end of the season, which will take you back 2 divisions. Now, this may not seem like too much of a problem, but in general, it's just kind of boring, because even if you lose, there's no problem with losing. And in some cases, a loss has the exact same effect as a draw, depending where you are. If you've literally just claimed a checkpoint, you're on that point. No matter whether or not, if you win the next game, of course you get to progress forward. But if you lose or draw, it's the exact same situation, because you're still staying at the exact same point and you still lose your winning streak if you had one. What gets real weird is, as this is a system which goes from Division Rivals to the Champions Playoffs to the Weekend League, is that Division Rivals ends up being more harsh than the likes of the Champions Playoffs and the Finals. Because even if you lose within the Finals and also the Playoffs, you are gifted 1 point. It's just a weird system in general to think that this is all connected. My personal preference is that if you win a game, you should be gifted 3 points. If you draw a game, you should be gifted 1 point. And then if you lose a game, you should be deducted points. It's a system that works and based on the new reward structure within Division Rivals, where you don't even need to win games in order for you to gain packs because you have your milestones, which are quite simply play games, that this still all works. There are no changes to this. So it can still be a rewarding game mode, but they're being a bit more on the line and a bit more skill based on what division you're in. Because right now, at the minute, everyone is pushing forward. It is impossible for you to go back unless you manage to rank up quite high in divisions and then not play any games. Now we need to talk about the most disappointing game mode ever, Foot Moments. Foot Moments was advertised last year, and for quite a lot of players, they were somewhat excited. Maybe excited isn't the correct word, but they were hopeful. They saw the potential of this game mode, not being the best, but something that could be fun from time to time. But we were all wrong. It was okay for the first couple of weeks as it was new, but after that, EA didn't really do anything with it. The issue was that it was advertised as these short mini clips, but they really weren't. You weren't playing a full game, but you would still play half matches, which is still a decent amount of time, especially when a lot of the challenges that were released didn't have an increase in difficulty. Every single one of them was at the lowest possible difficulty, and because of that, it wasn't as rewarding as what it could be. You would need to grind 30, 40, 50 of these little mini games, these little clips and stories, for you to get what is a fairly mediocre pack. It just was not worth it. And after just 1 year of this being within the game, it already needs a massive overhaul. There needs to be more of these stories, it needs to be more rewarding, and there needs to be an increase in difficulty. It can't be amateur every single time. Now there were some moments which would allow you to increase difficulty, but they were only released right at the beginning. Since then, there's been few and far between. Another game mode which somewhat needs an overhaul is Foot Draft. Now the system of Foot Draft works perfectly fine, but there's always been this one problem. That is changing players' positions. The whole point of this game mode is for you to play with the players that you wouldn't really be able to go and play with, but use them in a competitive environment. Winning 4 matches within a row somewhat replaces the old school tournaments that we had within FIFA back in the day. But the issue is whenever you go into one of these game modes, you go and select a formation, you select your captain, and then go through the various players. But the players that are gifted sometimes don't actually fit within the formation that's been selected, and you can't do anything about it. One problem that's always persisted is no matter what formation that you select, once you go down to your subs and reserves, the players that get selected are always within a 4-4-2 formation. That means when you go through, if you were to select a formation right at the beginning of a 3-5-2, you're now going to go onto your bench and you're going to go and get fullbacks, which is not really what you need. You need more centre backs. And similar to this, in some occasions, you may be going through this and you might need a right wing back, and you do get a right back on the bench and their alternative position is a right wing back, but you cannot change them. Now, I'm hoping that this will change within EA Sports FC anyway, because there is a new change to the position system. Position cards will no longer exist. You will just be able to change players' positions based on what their preferred position is and their alternative position. So hopefully this will then also cross over into Foot Draft. But this is a minor change that has been needed since FIFA 17, FIFA 18, whenever Foot Draft was first added, but it never happened. And the final change that really I'm looking for is a change to chemistry. In fact, not even a change, but potentially just removing it. Since the beginning, back in FIFA 09, there was a lot of things that did tie into chemistry. And slowly, as the years have passed, EA have taken more and more things away. Many people won't remember formation cards. Not only did you need to have players in the right positions, but you also need to make sure that they had a preferred formation. If you had Rooney with a 4-1-2-1-2, but he was playing in a 4-4-2, then, well, he's not going to be happy. He's going to be somewhat happy because he may still be a striker, and that is still going to be a 4-4-2, and because it has a 2 at the end, he's playing in a striker partnership, he is somewhat happy. But if he was in a formation such as a 4-5-1, he would not be happy at all, and that would reflect in your chemistry. Those were removed. And slowly things have changed as time's gone on. It got easier to build chemistry, then it got even easier with the last year because they removed direct chemistry links, and now it does sound like they're removing position cards. And at this point they might as well just remove chemistry and put more emphasis on players being in certain positions which will reflect their rating, and have a much more in-depth custom tactics system. Many like the idea of being able to select their player and put them anywhere. There's already people doing this where they'll set up their default team just to get everyone in, and then once they get into their custom tactics, they will change up a new formation to move the players to be where they want them to be. And I believe that we should just remove the middleman. Everyone is doing this anyway, so we might as well just remove the certain systems which are stopping or preventing players from building the teams that they want to build. And then we can just put more emphasis on custom tactics so that there's going to be more creativity, different play styles, more variables, rather than the surface level custom tactics that we currently have, where we can't even customize our set pieces. But anyway guys, these are just a few of the changes that are needed in EA Sports FC. If you believe that there is something else that should be made, then let us know in the comment section down below. But anyway guys, I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did enjoy, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. But for now, I'm going, so see ya.